So here we go. Clase is ready. His 1-2 pitch to Jay Cronenworth. Got him! Clase strikes out the side in the 9th inning. And the American League wins the All Star game for the 9th consecutive season.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to episode 31 of the Fairweather Fans Podcast. I am your host, Dan Fairweather. Here with my co-host, Tyler Puska. It is Thursday, July 21st. We're back here on the 29th floor of the Hub 50 House at our Doing the Most studios. We're psyched. Baseball.
Oh, my God.
It's baseball. We are moving away from every other sport. I know football's coming along in a little bit, but we are strictly seam heads for the next month and a half on this podcast. And what a perfect time to make that allegiance. All-Star game, we have the home run derby, we have the second half of baseball coming up. I don't know if you can get more drama than the drama you got right now.
No, this is the best time of the year for baseball. This is when the swing of things kicks in, if you will. Midsummer Classic. Home run derby was unbelievable. Now you get closer to the trade deadline with a lot of big names being thrown into the mix. So it's going to be exciting, man.
Right. So this is going to be a baseball-centered episode. So if your favorite sport is baseball, it's your lucky day. We are also going to talk about the rest of the NHL news that we got, and then whatever else we got in between. But really, all we got is baseball and a little bit of a runoff from the NHL free agency. But I think without further ado, unless you have anything to say before we get started, we can just get right into it because it's been a crazy week for baseball.
Yeah, it's been great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Yes, I'm doing just as good as I was doing 2 days ago when we recorded the last episode. If you have not listened to episode 30, please go back and do so. It's a great recap of NHL free agency and just getting back in the swing of things for the podcast. A lot of different updates, a lot of different things we promoted, a lot of new segments. So definitely go give that a listen if you haven't. But we're on episode 31, so let's get into it.
Let's hop right into it.
So yesterday was the MLB All Star Game. Going into it, I expected it to be an absolute fireworks show. I know a lot of people took the under, took certain bets, under 6 runs and whatnot. And I just thought with the bats that were going to be there, it's LA. I thought with all the juice balls that we know and love in the MLB, I thought those were going to come out. We're going to get a lot of home runs. But I mean, the final score 3-2 with the AL taking the victory, and it was definitely a pitching battle.
Yeah, it was. It was actually very fun to watch.
Very.
I enjoyed MLB pitching a lot more than the average human being. And
exactly.
I mean, you had all these guys like Ryan Helsley coming out of the pen throwing 103. You had Emmanuel Clase ending the game with those 100-mile-an-hour cutters. I mean, just some absolutely disgusting pitches. I mean, and you got to see that umpire cam too, which was so cool. And you just get a glimpse of how hard it is to hit a baseball.
Let me just preface this before we really get into the All-Star game. I'm not an All-Star guy game at all. Baseball is probably... It might be my second favorite sport. It might be my third favorite sport, but it's definitely not my favorite. So when you combine All-Star games, which I don't gush over. I don't look forward to them every year. So going into this, if you told me it was going to be a 3-2 pitchers battle, I'd be like, I'm not even going to watch that. But everything they integrated, like you said, just, the awesome, pitcher's box. They had the ump mic'd up. They had the pitchers and the catchers umped up. They had the outfielders mic'd up. Everything about that, it's like they took it to a whole nother level. The MLB with their All-Star game, they just do it better than everybody else.
I was going to say, I think this is the best All-Star game because you can actually play a full game of baseball and have it be enjoyable like the NHL. They don't play 5-on-5. It's not physical. It's 3-on-3. It's kind of arcadey. Also like the NBA, everyone's just fucking chucking
throwing
threes
up
from the
lobs.
logo.
Exactly.
Yeah, throwing lobs. It's just not the same. It actually feels like a baseball game, but it's more like laid back and casual.
Right.
I think this is the best All-Star game out of the 4 major sports.
Right. It's the Midsummer Classic. I mean, there's not very often that, you get to see this showcasing of the league's best players be done this well. And I think I saw a tweet from, it might have been Jared Carabas, but where he said that it's the best day of the year for baseball fans. It's in the middle of the summer. It's always a perfect night, very nice weather. You have every single all-star, every single great player in the league all together there. There's no stress. No one's mad at any other fan bases. You don't get mad at your own team because the game doesn't have very high stakes. And it's just fun.
It's just a fun game of baseball.
And last night it was fun. You had, obviously you got to see every single pitcher get out there. You had, the mic'd up. You get to, players that you aren't very familiar with. You got to know their personality just based off the mic'd up. Just watching, as a Red Sox fan, watching Trevino and Nestor get out there and shoot the shit and call their own pitches from the mound. It was cool as shit. I loved it. Even as a Red Sox fan, you hate the players that that the Yankees have, and you don't really have any reason. They just play for the Yankees.
Yep.
So when you actually get a glimpse on their own personalities, it's really cool to see. But I'd love to know your thoughts on the mic, though.
I mean, Alek Manoah was an absolute treat. He was like, yes, sir.
Electric Factory.
3 punchies.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a blast. And, I mean, he's really on the up and come up in this league. And it's really good to see these guys actually express their personalities. It's so good for the game, and it's so good for the marketing of the game as well. And they were talking about I was watching the post game on MLB Network, and they had Manoah on, and they said, "Are you down for doing it for a regular season game?" And he goes, "Well, if I can get 3 punchies an inning, then yeah, absolutely."
Right. I bet they would be interested in that. I know for like a lot of the major networks, Fox and MLB Network and ESPN, they like to mic up the players, but they never do it live.
No.
It's never a live feed straight to the studio. It's usually, we're going to mic you up, and then if you make a play in the field, we'll replay it and lay over the audio just in case you fucking lay a couple F-bombs in there, say something that, they don't want aired. But, like, this was pure, unfiltered, just player personality. I think that was one of the best things about it. So I think in terms of why people were like, let's have this for a real game, you got to understand, like, if you throw, 4 balls in a row and you walk a guy, you're not going to have, the Alek Manoah kind of enthusiasm that you got tonight. You're going to have, like, a fucking...
Yeah, like a Liam Hendricks.
Like exactly. Like it's like when Happy Gilmore 3-putted on the green in his first tournament, and it's televised, and it's just all the like bleep over bleep. That's what it would be.
Get Virginia Bennett on the phone now.
Especially with these pitchers, man. They're friggin' psychopaths. Same thing like if you're a goalie. In hockey, it's one of those things that's rare to the All-Star game where it actually worked, and it worked perfectly. It's in terms of growing the game, which baseball's had a tough time doing lately, just because it's a slower game. They try to up the pitch clock and stuff like that, just to kind of get more people interested.
They're doing anything and everything in the book. Like they're playing at movie sets, they're playing at the Field of Dreams, they're micing up guys. There's so many different things. They're having MLB The Show tournaments at the All-Star game. They're doing everything they possibly can, and I think it's actually working out very nicely.
They're throwing everything at the wall and seeing what's sticking, and some of the stuff is really hit with the fans. I know, especially if you're a baseball fan, but if I was anything casual and I was just checking in last night and seeing what was going on and seeing Stanton and Goldschmidt and Buxton hit those home runs and just being in LA with the sick jerseys, it was all tied together. It was perfect. So overall, that was great. But just on a game standpoint, there's great pitching by guys like Manoah, guys like Nestor Cortez, guys like Class A, and then when you have the guys who can hit the long ball, they hit the long ball. So in terms of what MLB was looking for in terms of the result, I think they got it. I think it was awesome. Overall.
Yeah, and the story. I mean, obviously the storylines too, like Clayton Kershaw, he's been an all-star. He's going to be a first-ballot Hall of Famer someday. Never started an all-star game. So he gets to start his first all-star game at home in Dodger Stadium. You get that narrative. And then you get the Giancarlo Stanton narrative. I mean, he's from the kind of that area, went to high school in that area, used to sit in left field, had his tickets in left field, was able to play left field, hit a home run to like almost where he used to sit, and won the All-Star Game MVP. So just a lot of heartfelt, good stuff. I mean, he had Shohei before the game. He had
Speaking English.
He had speaking English. Tom Verducci's like, what's the plan going here? He's like, first pitch, first swing. What's he do? Little dribbler up the middle, base hit. It was so fun. It was actually very enthusiastic and very fun to watch.
Yeah, I feel like when you think about baseball and you think about the certain personalities that they have and the kind of players they display, it's very unique to the other sports. Like football, you have the quarterbacks and they all through high school, like the varsity players and stuff like that. So they have the certain personalities like the Tom Brady's. But baseball, it's pretty laid back. And then hockey, you kind of have the nonchalant, just like hockey guys. So in terms of the personalities you wanted to see on display, I feel like if you understand what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
The Shoheis and the Giancarlo Stantons, who play for the Yankees, making the headlines and stuff like that. So it was your typical MLB All Star Game in LA, which is definitely what they were expecting. And in terms of the game, I was never on the edge of my seat.
No,
I know the last at bat with Class A, you wanted Jay Cronenworth to kind of tie that game up, just so everyone could see the home run derby overtime that they said that we were going to get. Which I was like, don't tell me we're going to do this, which would have been awesome. So that kind of I was kind of excited to potentially see that, which we didn't, since he struck out. And in 10 pitches, he struck out all 3 batters in the 9th inning. So definitely his showcase in terms of headlines.
I mean, he was pretty close to having an immaculate inning, too. Like, those first 2 strikeouts
were
for 3
ridiculous.
pitches. And I was like, oh, my God, is he going to end the All-Star game like this? This is crazy.
Right. I feel like you could see on the face of some of the batters when the pitchers were getting up in the hundreds and stuff like that. You have these All-Star games in all 3 levels except for MLB that aren't competitive whatsoever. NHL sort of kind of like they don't decide anything. NBA and NFL, like, forget about it.
Especially the NFL.
We already
the
talked
NFL's
about that.
joke.
They don't even tackle each other. But this one, like, you have guys throwing in the triple digits.
Yeah, oh yeah, there's guys, and
They
like
try.
some of the pitches that these guys have are just disgusting. Like
Right.
I already said Helsley and Clase, but I just remember JD Martinez's at bat against Devin Williams and him throwing that changeup that he has that just dives like a screwball.
Right.
And Martinez is literally just throwing the bat at it at that point.
There's
It's
nothing you
so
can do.
Gross.
There's absolutely nothing. I mean, for Rodriguez, is that what you said? No, you said Martinez. But for guys like Julio Rodriguez, you have the home run derby the night before where you're getting lobs thrown at you and you're sending them as far as you can, and you get up there and guys like Class A are throwing 103, and you're like, okay, well, this is a little bit of change of pace. I don't know what you expect me to do here. But yeah, in terms of the game, I don't know if you really have anything else that really stood out to you. I know most of the runs were scored in the first couple innings, and the rest of it was a pitcher's duel, which was great. Never expected to be that entertaining at all. But this locked me in for watching the All-Star game.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You know,
100%.
usually if I watch a shitty All-Star game, I'm like, okay, we'll be watching this next year, but this one, especially if they do it right like they did this year, I'm tuning in.
I'm all in. I'm all in on this All-Star game, and it's so fun. It just you get that heartfelt baseball
right, love of the game.
Yeah, it's for the love of the game.
Exactly. So I mean, I feel like if they're gonna try and do anything, if that's their goal, then I mean they did it pretty well. So I don't really think there's anything more. Except for guys raised their stock, especially guys like Class A and guys like Julio Rodriguez and Juan Soto, who, can we talk about this?
Yeah.
The Nationals didn't get him a private jet.
Nope.
He had to fly commercial to the All-Star game, which, I mean, granted, I try and give a guy a check for $440 million and he tells me to go fuck myself. I don't think I'm going to be buying a first-class plane ticket, never mind a private jet, to the All-Star game.
And then
that's just me.
And then on the other end of the spectrum, A's pitcher Paul Blackburn, the A's were gonna fly him commercial.
Well, it's the A's.
I know, but that's still a scummy fucking move.
They're broke. They have no money.
No,
they're
not spending any money though. Their payroll's like probably what, 20 million?
Like Billy Bean, keep your money on the field.
It's so ridiculous. But shout out to the Astros finally doing something right, allowing him to fly with them. Right. I thought that was pretty cool, but still, fuck the Astros. I mean,
exactly.
That'll always.
Hey, they got their due diligence.
Yep.
They got booed. Still getting booed. They're going to be booed for the next 5 years. People will not forget. Like, our generation will be in their 30s, 40s, dude, and like they'll see Jose Altuve will come out to like throw the first pitch when he's 50 years old in the World Series, and he'll get booed.
Oh yeah,
trash cans will be banging. Like this is the thing. It's not ending anytime soon. And you can see they're kind of embracing it, becoming good sports. But back to the A's. It's like what Billy Bean said about the soda machines. It's like, just keep the money on the field. So it's nice to see nothing's changed there. But definitely some crazy stories, especially with that Soto thing. It seems like he's out the door now that we can kind of transition away from the All-Star game and start looking at the second half. People are saying he's in the next 2 weeks he's destined to be traded. There's definitely suitors there. I heard the Cardinals were very high on that list, and the Padres were also out there as well.
Padres, Giants, Yankees, Mets, they're kind of all thrown into the mix. But I mean, the offer, obviously it's hard to turn down 15 for $440 million, but it's only, I think it's only like $29 million per year. I mean, he's probably looking for that max, like that 35, 36 per. And there's going to be teams that are going to give it to him too. So, I don't know. It's going to be fun to see what kind of package the Nationals get, because this trade is going to be massive. And it does not start without your top prospect or your top, 3 prospects.
Exactly.
And I've heard that they want Major League ready players. So, this is going to be an absolute haul for the Nationals, who traded Trey Turner and Max Scherzer last year. They got Josiah Gray, Keibert Ruiz. So, they do have kind of a young core coming in, but it's hard, man, to deal a 23-year-old who's arguably going to be the face of baseball in the next couple of years.
Yeah, you got to think that he's going to be up towards that level. But do you really think, on the terms of the Cardinals, who I think if I could pick a team for him to go to where it'd be most entertaining, it'd obviously be a storied franchise like the Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think they have what it takes? And if you think so, like, who do you think you'd have to give up if they need 3 MLB-ready players?
Yeah, so, I mean, when you look at their lineup, you're probably giving up one of your outfielders like a Tyler O'Neill or a Harrison Bader because, I mean, you look at their infield. I mean, you got a top prospect coming up, Mason Wynn, who's probably going to have to go. You got Arenado, you got Goldschmidt, you got them tied up with money. You're going to have to pay Soto. You got Jack Flaherty. Yeah, I mean, it's what it's going to I mean, if I can look at the Cardinals.
Doesn't Carlson play for
Yeah, Dylan Carlson. Nolan Gorman's a guy who just came up that's probably going to be gone as well.
Which is none of those guys seem like they really pushed the envelope for getting a guy like Soto. So
that's why the Yankees entices me so much. Because their prospect pool is loaded. It's like you got Volpe, you got Dominguez, you got plenty of pitching prospects, and that's what scares me the most is the fact that I think the Yankees can put together the best package out of all these teams.
But they would want MLB ready players, guys who are already in their lineup. So if in terms of, I know like you said they got the prospects. I mean, what roster players, what rotational players do you think would be part of this package?
They would probably give him Joey Gallo. Joey Gallo's probably thrown into that mix.
Gift.
Yeah,
that guy's batting sub 200.
Probably throwing Joey Gallo into that mix. You're probably giving up a guy like Gleyber. I would say Gleyber Torres. I would say Gleyber Torres is good as gone if you're doing that. And then maybe a pitcher too, like a Jameson Taillon or one of your like top end, like a Devi Garcia, Luis Gil kind of pitcher. I don't know. It's gonna be
in terms of that, I think that would definitely kind of open the door more for Judge, which I don't know how this isn't on the notes. I think it just slipped our mind. The quote that he gave to the reporter last night when asked, what do you tell your fans that, are excited to see you in a Yankees uniform? And he kind of was just like, shit, dude, like, I might not be on the Yankees. Like, hope you're still an Aaron Judge fan.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I hope you stay an Aaron Judge fan forever. Like, I don't know. Like, hopefully you're more of an Aaron Judge fan than a Yankees fan because it's not looking too good.
No, and especially if they get Soto, Judge is gone.
Gone.
And who would you rather have Aaron Judge or Juan Soto
Aaron
right
Judge.
now? I would rather keep Aaron Judge because he's been there, he's done that.
I think he could be cheaper too.
Yeah, he definitely probably is cheaper. So,
I think if you give him $440, 12 years, he's taking that.
Oh yeah, 100%. So this is going to be a fun little stretch. And then, obviously, we talk about the ripple effect with Juan Soto and maybe him going to the Yankees and Aaron Judge leaving. You see Juan Soto turn down 15 for $440. There's a guy in this city who's due for a contract that's right around the same age as Juan Soto. What does this mean for Rafael Devers? What kind of money are they going to look at now and say, hey, because – obviously, you wrote it down. They kind of compared it to a Matt Olson
They
contract,
made a Matt Olson comparison.
which is an absolute slap in the face.
And he knows that much.
Yeah.
He was asked, and he was like, yeah, like, if you talk to him, like, we know that he made the Matt Olson comparison. What do you think about that? He was like, yeah, like I am who I am is basically what he said. And then the interviewer was like, well, what are you thinking for money? And he's like, yeah, nice try. Like, I'm not bait. That's a bait question. I'm not taking that. I feel that him and Xander are very close, and in terms of paying them both the money that they deserve, I think you're looking more on the money side and less on the term.
Yeah.
I think when you pay a guy like Story like that in the offseason, then you're going to have to pay for Dugo. But there's a lot of moving pieces that you could get rid of in the offseason that's taking a lot of cap space and kind of make room for them. But it seems like John Henry's.
He's not backing up the Brinks truck.
He's not backing up the Brinks truck. He's not, waving a number in front of their face. He's just kind of like being very patient and seeing if something happens with their value, but it doesn't really look too good. But it's more neutral at this point. I'm not.
Yeah.
I could sit here and say that it's not looking too good. It's a bleak situation, but none of them are really saying anything. It seems like they're both just mainly focused on playing baseball for the Boston Red Sox this season and figuring out what the future is going to hold afterwards.
I know, and
Which, wait, may I add?
Yeah, go ahead.
People don't know Rafael Devers is still signed for next year.
Yeah.
So it's something you can figure out after next year, especially if he gets his value up. But it's definitely something you want to lock up. So, but in terms of him wanting a new deal, it's not like he can ask. He could ask for a trade, but I don't think that's going to happen just based off the players that he's friends with here and the camaraderie. He's obviously very close with JD Martinez and Bogarts. He talked about that yesterday. So I don't think he's going to request a trade. But it's definitely something you want to look at and figure out sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and obviously I've said this before. If you're going to have to keep one, you're going to keep Rafi because he's younger, he's the better player. But I mean, it's not that hard to give Xander Bogaerts $20 million a year. That's all he's asking for. He's not asking 25, 30, which he should be. I mean, he's a top shortstop in the MLB. He only wants 20.
Yeah.
So I don't see why that's a problem. But I've also said this to my friends too, that I think that there's something like sketchy going on where Chaim Bloom signed Trevor Story to replace Xander Bogaerts.
Yeah.
And I don't know why he would ever think that. That's the problem I have with Chaim Bloom is this is even said in Moneyball too. You cannot run a big market team like a small market team.
You can't.
You physically can't do it.
You're given the money to run it like a big market team. It's like the Red Sox and the Yankees are two different programs in the way that they spend money.
Yeah, and I get it, right? You want to build up your prospect pool, but how many of these guys are going to pan out? How many of these prospects that we have that aren't like Marcelo Meyer and Tristan Casas? How many of these guys are actually going to be MLB players?
You're already seeing it happen. You're already seeing it with guys like Connor Siebel, Brian Bayo, who obviously hasn't had that many starts, but both of them are off the rocky starts. Bobby Dahlbeck, who is getting closer to being DFA'd or moved just because he's not reaching his potential, and then Jarren Duran, who's having trouble hitting consistently at an MLB level. Mm-hmm. So obviously you haven't had a single guy that's worked out so far.
Yeah.
So it's you need guys to start converting. Maybe it's something with the coaching staff that, they have trouble developing talent, but something's got to start working here, or you have to revert from developing homegrown players and just have to start spending like the Yankees have been doing.
Well, yeah, and you look at the team, like it's a win now kind of team. Chris Sale's not getting any younger. JD's on the last leg of his contract. I mean, I don't think he'll be back. I don't think they're going to pay JD unless he takes some sort of a discount.
Right, which he won't.
Which he won't. I mean, he's having a fantastic year, another All-Star appearance. I don't know. It's the uncertainty as a Red Sox fan right now, especially at the end of, before the All-Star break, how we came in, crashing and banging, and we got blown out by the Yankees twice. I mean, like, you got to decide pretty quick soon, like, what kind of roster and what kind of team do you want to be this year? I mean, are you going to be this kind of half-ass mundane, just kind of take the field and see what happens? Or are you going to actually go out there and compete every night? Because the compete level, I guess, is just not there right now.
Definitely not.
And obviously it's a blow to you finally get Sale back. He's throwing 97. He looks good. And then he takes one right off the fucking pinky finger.
It's just in his second start off rehab. It was just like probably the worst thing that could happen.
Just a huge kick in the nuts.
Kick in the nuts. And listening to it on radio, I was like, hopefully he didn't get hit in the head. And they're like, oh, nope, it's on his pitching hand. I was like, oh, great. The two places that he can't get hit. You can get hit anywhere else in the body. You get hit in the balls, for all I care.
And he's a tough guy, too. Like, he'll keep going.
Yeah. He didn't really show that much pain after it happened. He just stuck up his hand and said,
he's like, what the hell am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah. Hey, look, you want me to stay in? Look at that, dude. It's just
go ahead, tape it up.
Bet 90 degrees in the opposite direction. I can't pitch like that. So I mean, like you said, it's a kick in the dick. But that's just the season you're having, and a good thing having right before the All-Star break. It gives you a week to kind of step back, reflect, and see where the problem is, and take time to fix it, and just get going, and realize that the second half of the season starts now. You got to, pedal the metal. It doesn't matter. Contracts don't matter. Injuries don't matter. You just got to be next man up, and just, trying to win ball games and trying to get in the playoffs in a division that is, tough as all hell. So it's put up or shut up. It doesn't matter like what kind of problems you're having. You just gotta make it happen. So, obviously, Rafi, Xander, those contracts aren't ideal situations. Trevor Story has problems staying healthy, which people kind of anticipated. So I guess it's just you gotta, put your head down and just start winning baseball games.
Yeah, I mean, another thing too. I mean, do you think that Chaim Bloom looks at the situation right now and says, you know what, I'd rather get something for Xander instead of him just walking away?
Exactly.
Like, are we going to see a Xander Bogaerts trade in the next couple weeks? Like, we're at the crossroads right now.
For sure.
We are literally at the crossroads.
Future of the Red Sox. The future of the Red Sox is going to be decided.
We were at this same point almost last year, too. Like, what the hell?
You traded for Kyle Schwarber.
We were,
It's time's a flat circle.
Yep.
Say it almost every episode. Time's a flat circle, especially with your Boston Red Sox. You can never just start building blocks. Yeah, trade for something temporary, have that thing leave, and then replace it with something else, and just be in this perpetual circle.
Yep.
So it is what it is. It's hard to see, which is heartbreaking going back to the All-Star game, that picture of Mookie Betts, Andrew Benintendi, JD Martinez, Xander Bogaerts, and Rafael Devers, the five guys who were integral parts of that 2018 World Series, sitting there together, seeing what could have been, which would have been
1 through 5 on that team. That's your 1 through 5.
Would have been damn nice.
Screaming and crying in the corner. Screaming and crying. Like, come on. Like, I didn't want. I knew it was gonna happen too. Like, seeing all those guys
all
there,
there.
I'm like, they're gonna take a picture, and I'm gonna be very sad to see this team that was so good. Like, that was.
It was gross.
It was the best Red Sox team I've ever seen.
The easiest Boston championship I've ever experienced.
Yeah.
It was a walk in the park.
Mm-hmm.
Like that Astros series. What did they lose? 3 games?
Yeah.
Like 4 games the whole entire
beat the
playoffs?
piss out of the Yankees.
Yeah.
And then you beat the Astros in what, 5 games?
6.
6 games.
You lost 2 and then lost 1 in the World Series.
And
lost
then you go
3 games.
then you go up against the Dodgers team that had Manny Machado on it too, and you just made them look absolutely silly.
Made them look like a farm team.
You had what was his name?
Steve Pearce?
No, yeah, of course, Red Sox legend Steve Pearce, but Eduardo Nunez hitting a 3-run bomb in Game 1.
Yeah.
I mean, look at us going right down memory lane again, talking about the Red Sox right now.
JBJ could hit. At a major league level, he could hit a pitch.
He could play a hell of a center field, too. Now he's stuck out and right. I mean, God.
It's a damn shame.
I kind of miss Dave Dombrowski just selling the farm team just to have us be good again.
Exactly. I'd take that in a heartbeat.
I don't like where we're at right now as a franchise.
It's not a good spot.
No, it's not.
I don't think, you can say, oh, would you rather be an A's or a Marlins? No. But where we should be is not where we are.
I mean, we're the fucking Boston Red Sox, for Christ's sakes. We're one of the most storied franchises in baseball history. Yeah. I mean, we went through, an 84-year curse, and now ever since the 2000s clicked, we've been a wagon, and now all of a sudden we're at a mundane phase. We're at the crossroads.
Hey, but if you step back, if you look at it, from 2013 to 2018, you had 4 years of mediocrity where you lost some guys, and then you finally put it back together, and you got to hope they're pushing in that direction. You just have to figure out these contracts.
Yes.
You got to figure out these contracts. No ifs,
What is
ands, or
up
buts.
with the Boston teams right now not being able to figure out contracts?
They can't.
It's like, come on.
It's just like the one thing that fans don't have any control over. You just have to sit and wait for the old white dudes to figure it out.
Carrying stress every day.
Pinch pennies. It's horrible. So they just got to figure that out. On terms of Juan Soto, just to close this conversation that we were talking about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
We just sidetracked into this little Red Sox therapy. I almost said Bruins therapy. Red Sox therapy session that we usually have a couple times around this time of year.
At this point last year, we had Red Sox therapy. We were screaming into the mic.
So, I mean, just to put a bow on this Juan Soto talk, where do you think he goes, and what do you think the package is going to be from said team?
I think it's got to be – I agree with you. I think it's St. Louis. I think that's, I guess, the best option at this point. And you look at what they have to offer in terms of, like MLB-ready players. I would say you're probably looking at a guy like a Dylan Carlson or a Tyler O'Neill or a Lars Nootbaar. Love Lars Nootbaar.
Nootbaar, great name.
Noot, motherfucker. Like a Nolan Gorman, like a Dylan Carlson, and then obviously I think their top pitching prospect is Matthew Liberatore. He's probably good as gone. You could probably even throw another pitcher in there because I think they were thinking about going after Noah Syndergaard from the Angels. I definitely heard that. I think you're looking at a package that surrounds your top outfielders like a Tyler O'Neill, Dylan Carlson, and a Nolan Gorman.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. I also think it could be anywhere on the Padres too. You can package a guy like Cronenworth with someone like C.J. Abrams or even Jurickson Profar, a couple high-level prospects.
Mackenzie Gore.
Exactly.
I mean, he's their top pitching prospect, former #1 overall pick. I mean, you gotta think the Nationals are saying, yeah, we want him too. Buddy.
And they're always someone who's not too afraid, just like the Yankees is, to kind of go out and get that big guy and put together the package and worry about the consequences later.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're definitely someone that is always, we're going for him. We'll give up whoever we need. And him and Tatis and Machado, if those guys weren't a part of the package, would be great. So I think it could be either the Cardinals or the Padres if that's who's really rumored to be out.
I think those are the two front runners actually.
Yeah. So we'll find out in a couple of weeks. That'll be very interesting to report on and kind of see how that changed the landscape of the MLB. But I think we can just kind of talk about some other headlines from the first half of the season, and I think one big thing to talk about is kind of how dominant the New York Yankees have been. Obviously, they were just in town for a little 4-game series. I was at one of the games. They won 2. They split the series, and the other 2 games they just got absolutely jackhammered by the empire, the evil empire that is the Yankees. So Do you really think they can keep it up? Because I know from Red Sox fans, from my standpoint, they've been playing great, all due respect given. But can they keep consistency and get into the postseason and keep this train rolling? Do you think they have the potential to win a World Series?
Well, I guess that's the big question. Is you can have a fantastic regular season. They could win 115 games, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Right.
You still gotta win the World Series. So
exactly.
When you look at the team, this team right now without a trade deadline acquisition or two, I think it's still close once you get into the postseason. I think that it's kind of wide open still. But, I mean, some of the moves that they made, I got to give a shout-out to my guy, Matt Carpenter. I mean, I'm a big fan of him growing up, and I don't know what the hell he did this year.
Right.
Like,
shaved the beard.
He shaved the beard. He's got the 70s porno mustache. He's going to fucking Oklahoma with Joey Votto. He's going to New Orleans with Nolan Arenado and Goldschmidt, just trying to figure out his swing. And he's just raking. He's raking. And it's so... It's fun to watch, but it's gut-wrenching to watch at the same time because he's in that New York uniform.
It's a guy that was once good, and they let him go because they thought he was too old, and now he's just had a little bit of a rebirth of his career. But when you get depth guys like that who can bat middle, bottom of your lineup and constantly produce, it's how you win championships. So it's if guys like that, who are known to be good players can stay consistent and not fizzle out and not bat 200 in the playoffs, then, you're on a pretty good track. But I think if you look at them, you look at the players that they have. I know you don't have like a lot of established pitchers. You have Nestor Cortez and you have Jameson Taillon and you have Montgomery. You need guys like that. If the Yankees can stay consistent, I have no doubt that they'll at least make it to the World Series. I think they can beat the Astros if both teams are on their best game. I think the Yankees are a better team. So I think it just comes down to consistency with them.
I was gonna say I think what's going to make them or break them is their pitching.
Exactly.
Because, I mean, that lineup is so sick.
Right.
You're not – that lineup just – all they do is just hit and hit and hit, and they just continue to hit the ball out of the yard, too.
What do they do? They hit.
They hit. And, I mean, so I think that their ultimate demise could be their pitching. Like Taillon coming in maybe August and September starts to slip up. Same thing with Montgomery. Obviously, Nestor Cortez is having this great year, but can he do it for the rest of the regular season and the postseason?
Not to mention,
I don't know. He's not a proven pitcher in the postseason.
Exactly. Not to mention, none of them have been there before.
Yeah.
You get into the ALCS against a team like the Astros.
Who's been there for, 5 times in the past 5 years? I feel like every year it's the ALCS versus the Astros.
To relate it to hockey, which seems to always find its way back there. It's like, the Rangers against the Lightning in the postseason. It's a team that's, relatively young, who have had a little bit taste of success, but then you go against a team like the Astros, who are a modern day dynasty, who seem to make it every year. So, and you saw who won that matchup. It transcends each sport. It's just experience, no matter what game it is, whatever sport it is, whatever level. Experience seems to take the cake. But if the Yankees are consistent, sometimes it doesn't matter how much experience. If you're batting at a consistent level with these level of players, then I definitely see the Yankees at least, taking it to 7, never mind winning. So, going off of that, we talked about the Red Sox, talked about Juan Soto. You have Mets getting DeGrom back soon, which is always key. He's one of the best pitchers in the league. Obviously, they're a very good team right now with the roster they got, and going into the season, they were very, they had very high expectations, especially from fans. But it seems like, Yankees fans are never satisfied. I was with Yankees fans on 2 Sundays ago, last Sunday maybe, at the Red Sox-Yankees game, and they were talking about how bad the Yankees are. And I was like, aren't they, 52-35?
Yeah.
What are you complaining about? They have a great lineup. Pete Alonso is at the top of the league for RBIs. You have Edwin Diaz, who's been lights out as a closer. So they're checking a lot of boxes, but I think – even they know it, they are just a couple steps away from really being that true powerhouse. Yeah,
and I mean, they've had the Braves pretty much on their ass the whole year. And the Phillies is still treading water, too. I mean, they didn't have Bryce Harper for a while, and Kyle Schwarber was just doing typical Kyle Schwarber things.
Batting the ball 200 out of the yard. Yeah, batting 200 and hitting a home run every single game.
Yeah. 25% of his at-bats, when he hits the ball, 25% of the time it's a home run. I heard that on the broadcast last night.
I am a huge believer on batting average telling most of the story, but if you get up there and you hit the ball 1 out of 5 times and it's an RBI, There you go.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
You're being productive.
Right, exactly. You're putting runs on the board, which is the name of the game. You know, put runs on the board. So I think that's key. But going back to the Mets, I said that they're missing a couple more pieces, and if they can get DeGrom back and have him be Jacob DeGrom,
which he will be. I mean,
exactly.
It's Jacob DeGrom. He's
they're giving
the
him enough
nastiest
time.
Stuff in the league.
Exactly, they're giving him enough time. So if you can have a little 1-2 punch with him and Scherzer, and then have that lethal lineup play to their potential, it's going to be fun. You're going to have the Subway Series. Sure as hell is going to be very entertaining, and that's key. And then you wanted to talk about the Baltimore Orioles and Seattle Mariners win streaks.
Yeah, where the hell did the Baltimore Orioles come from, and what happened?
Cinderella
they
story.
Were the bottom feeder for the AL East for
the last 3 years.
Since like 2016, 2017, something like that, and then all of a sudden they just randomly turned a corner.
They're
it was
a game
just
and a half back.
So out of the blue.
Yeah, every single team in the AL East is now at least 2 games over 500. The Baltimore Orioles are a game and a half behind the Boston Red Sox. If they keep this up, they're not only going to make the playoffs. I mean, they're going to be a top team in the AL.
Yeah, which I mean, that's
only 5 games back from a playoff spot,
and it's terrifying.
3.5 games back from
especially
a playoff spot.
Which the way we've been playing too.
Right, we are trending downwards. They are majorly trending upwards, but they did drop a couple games to the Rays and the Blue Jays to kind of knock them down a peg. So I think it's just not only do you have to worry about Toronto and Tampa winning games, you now have Baltimore, who has a decent amount of talent, which they could sell. But they are young guys, so who knows? It's definitely bad news for the Red Sox.
Yeah,
if anything.
And looking at the stats too, I mean, you've got your young first baseman and Ryan Mountcastle turning the corner, hitting 270 with 14 jacks. I mean, Adley Rutschman, he's having an okay year, but he's definitely ready to go. He's definitely an MLB player now.
He's here. He's proven that.
The guy like Austin Hayes, who got snubbed for the All Star game, hitting 270 with 12 homers. He's having a great year. Santander with 15 home runs. Trey Mancini hitting 277, but he's probably a guy that's gone because he's a veteran. He's been there forever. He's got like a year left on his deal. I just saw Jonathan Arauz's name on here. When the hell did he get here? Yeah, and their pitching staff too. Like it's
Jonathan Arauz.
Yeah, Jonathan Arauz, former Red
Sox.
Yeah, former Red Sox legend.
Trader. No way.
Yep.
Who needs him? Yeah.
And you got a guy in Tyler Wells pitching. He's got a 3.38 ERA through. I mean, he's got 18 starts under his belt now. I mean, they're trending in the right direction, and they're only going to get better when these prospects get better too.
Absolutely.
Which is terrifying for us.
It's not looking too hot.
And then the Seattle Mariners, I mean, they came into the season with a lot of expectations, obviously signing the Cy Young winner and Robbie Ray. He's having, not the greatest year, but not the best, but I mean,
he's no James Paxton.
He's no James Paxton. He's no Big Maple, I'll tell you that right now. But obviously the big story of this weekend and the Mariners has been Julio Rodriguez. I mean, that's the future of your franchise right there.
You have your guy.
You have your cornerstone guy.
And now the whole entire league knows it, and they're getting excited about it, and you're starting to gain more respect just from these guys that you have. So you went from having guys like, Rodriguez the pitcher or Hernandez the pitcher and making these pretty decent playoff runs, but you've kind of made the right decision in transitioning off that and trading away some key pieces like Seager and guys like that. And now you're reaping the rewards of that patience with guys like Julio Rodriguez. So it's good for them. Obviously not good for the Red Sox, which most of the things we're talking about aren't. So, yeah, that's that. And then I think we should kind of touch on the trade deadline.
Yes,
it's approaching. Not the hot stove. Sorry, but the trade deadline. It's gonna be fun. You have guys here like Benny, Frankie Montas, Juan Soto, who's obviously going to be the big one of the biggest we've had in years. And then you have Castillo, Blackburn, Bell, Cruz, Mancini, and Syndergaard, who just
Wilson Contreras as well.
Exactly, just a ton of big names that it's very exciting. So, I mean, would you like to touch on a couple of these guys and kind of predict where they're going to go?
Yeah, I honestly I've heard Benintendi to the Blue Jays and the Yankees, which would be just another gut punch to us.
Two teams you just don't want that guy going to.
Like, why do you have to be in the division? I don't understand why. It's tough to decide, but I definitely think that I don't want him to go to the Yankees, but I'd rather have him go to the Blue Jays.
For sure.
Frankie Montas, definitely, I would say the Cardinals too. They were looking into getting Syndergaard and him. Obviously, we talked about Juan Soto, Wilson Contreras. Can you think of any teams that could really use a catcher right now?
Could use a catcher right now. Off the top of my head, I feel like you have teams like maybe the Twins.
Yeah.
Maybe the Twins. I mean, they're a team that's winning their division. They're only 6 games up. The AL Central is not looking too hot, but just any teams that could really use a boost. It's tough because a lot of teams that need a catcher.
I could honestly see the Giants because I feel like the Giants know, obviously, all those years with Buster Posey having an experienced, solid catcher behind the dish and maybe not wanting to wait for Joey Bart to develop and say, hey, Cubs, you can take Joey Bart and you can let him develop. And, I mean, that's kind of the direction that the Cubs are going in. But the Giants, you kind of feel like they're in win-now mode.
They got to do something.
They're in win-now mode now, and they're at 48 and 43, kind of similar to the Red Sox right now at the crossroads. So I think that Wilson Contreras could go to the San Francisco Giants. And looking at this list, if there's one guy that I think the Red Sox could go get that would be fairly cheap, it's Paul Blackburn.
Sure.
And I think the fit would be great. He could be a bottom of the rotation guy who's giving you 6-7 strong innings a night, and I think that's exactly what the Red Sox need right now without Chris Sale. And when the hell are we getting Paxton back?
I have no idea.
We paid this guy $10 million to not even
play,
to pitch in August.
Chaim Bloom is shitting his pants.
Yeah,
shitting his pants. I had faith in him just because of the way that he turned it around last season, and the guys that he picked off that seemed to be these little hidden gems, which is what he does. He plays money ball with this team that has a ridiculously high payroll.
Yeah.
The guys that he picked up, they worked out for you. The Kikes, the Hunter Renfroes, the Christian Arroyos, those guys kind of, turning around, and they got you in the playoffs, and you won a couple rounds. That was great. But now you're here, and those guys that had those Cinderella stories and came out of the woodwork and helped you win all those games are back to just being those, depth guys that can't really do it for you. I mean, you traded Mookie Betts, the guys that you got for him. Jeter Downs is somewhat producing. Alex Verdugo has gone cold. Connor Wong is not even at a major league level. So, if you're Chaim Bloom, you're I wouldn't say you're working for your job right now,
but you're getting close to
you're
that
getting
point.
Close to it. If this inconsistency consists,
I concur.
Yeah, if this keeps going, it's going to be his ass, and Alex Cora needs to start doing his job, developing these young players as well, or else both of those guys are going to be in trouble. So I think it's put up or shut up for the Red Sox. This next month is really going to, it's going to determine everything. Because if you stink for the next 2 weeks, then it's time to make some moves. And the guys that you could have next year on long-term deals won't be here at all, and you're just going to basically have to start over. So it's gonna be huge. It's a huge turning point for the Red Sox. It's a fork in the road, so it'll be exciting. But now we can transition from trade deadlines and all that stuff in the first half awards. We've talked a lot about what we think for the second half, but we can also reflect on all the guys that kind of put in the work and showed up in the first half. And I think we'll just start at the top with the MVPs.
Yep.
Who do you got for the AL?
I got Aaron Judge. I just think that it's basically between him, Jordan, and Ohtani, but I think the value that Aaron Judge has brought the Yankees this year outweighs the value that Ohtani has brought to the Angels and Alvarez has brought to the Astros.
I mean, it's been ridiculous. I mean, he's first in home runs, third in OPS with a 983, 33 home runs, 7 RBIs, tied for third. I mean, the guy's just he's absolutely ridiculous. Never mind the lack in correct strike zone calls that he gets. I mean, the strike calls that he gets on him are ridiculous just based on his size. Yeah. He's 6'7", 282.
Yeah.
So that's going to happen. Obviously, there's a buffer.
And he's obviously an excellent defensive outfielder.
Exactly. So he can really do it all, and this is the guy that I hope gets the hell away from the Yankees because, I mean, it's not looking too good for him right now, but just the stats that he puts up and the consistency that he has, it's stellar. So he's the MVP unless, he gets hurt going into the second half, which would stink because he's a generational talent. He's a guy that I enjoy watching just despite the team that he plays for, but it's got to be Judge. I mean, you have other guys, like you mentioned, like Ohtani, but no one's really even coming close. Nope. So I have him as well, and then for NL, we also have the same ones. Yeah,
Paul Goldschmidt, just what a season he's had, just kind of revitalizing his career.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of down in the dumps there for a little bit, and it looked like he was falling off that cliff pretty hard, and then all of a sudden the bat came back this year, and he's he had I think it was like May or June. He had one hell of a month.
Exactly.
Where he was just tearing the cover off the ball, and he's still doing it consistently. And then obviously Juan Soto, who's been the talk of this whole podcast.
Right. Obviously, it's been hard for him to really get himself in the Nationals lineup and stay consistent, considering people don't know if he's going to be there for very long. But if he gets traded to a team like the Cardinals, that's where he could really flourish. But just looking at Paul Goldschmidt's stats, he's 34 years old. He's second in the league in OPS, second in the league in batting average. He has 20 home runs, tied for third in RBIs with 70, and he's 34. It's crazy to see a guy almost peak. Would you say this is him peaking his career?
Yeah, this is probably the
he's
best
gonna win
he'll
the MVP.
have. Yeah,
he's going to win the MVP. Barring Soto, having that takeoff second half that he could have. This is a guy that is just absolutely a statistical golden child.
Speaking words right now.
Speaking words, it's difficult. But Paul Goldschmidt, I feel like, as much as I would like to kind of find that dark horse for AL and NL MVP, Judge and Goldschmidt are just in a league of their own, and obviously it reflects with their team's record. So I have Soto on there, but that's just based off pure potential, seeing what he could do. But with that said, we can move on to Cy Young. I'll let you start on that as well.
Yeah, obviously right now the forefront winner is Shane McClanahan,
it's more
and
the same.
Another young gun in our division who's just been absolutely lights out. We got a taste of it in the postseason last year. His stuff's gross. And from that arm slot that he throws from, 100 miles an hour with the gross breaking ball and changeup combo, you're really seeing it display for the Rays. And, I put Justin Verlander on here for the sense that, McClanahan's still young. He could have a fall off, August and September. And,
but no
Justin Verlander's been there and done that. So,
yeah.
I feel like he can still squeak in, but right now McClanahan's the leading horse.
If you just look at his stats, I know I'm bringing up the stats for every single one, but if you look at him, he's fourth in his fourth best record in the league. He's first in ERA, he's second in strikeouts. He's far and away the Rays' best pitcher. I feel like if they had another guy like McClanahan, they could possibly even be better than the Yankees. But he's just in a league of his own. He's so damn consistent. Every single time you watch him play, he's hitting the zone exactly where he wants to every single time. He's so calm. He's pitching, 7, 8, 9 innings every single time he starts. And it's everything you want out of a pitcher and a guy like Shane McClanahan, who they got from the Pirates, didn't they? He could be a homegrown talent.
No, I think he's homegrown. It was Glasnow. It was Glasnow and Austin Meadows.
I am messing up my Pirates
pitchers,
the Rays. Which thank God we're not them. I know we can complain, but hey, at least we're not giving up generational talents like these guys.
Yeah,
so,
right.
That's that. And then for NL, we both have Sandy Alcantara.
This is it's not even close.
Not even close.
It's not even close. This is. I think he's going to end up being, if he can keep doing this for the next couple of years, he's our generation's Pedro Martinez.
For sure.
Because the stuff is electric. He's calm, cool, collected out there, and he's looking for punchies. He's just, you get in that box, he wants to strike you out every single time.
You're right.
And
the what you got? Sorry, I'll let you.
I was gonna say the sinker slider combo that he has, along with that curveball and fastball that he can mix in there, and the changeup too. His changeup's very underrated. I don't see anybody else from the National League coming even close to him if he keeps doing this the way he's doing. Does Miami move him? Does Miami say this guy's way too good for us?
Absolutely not. You're finally moving in the direction with some good players. I think this is a guy you absolutely have to, one, give the bag to, and two, keep around. He doesn't have the best stats, but if you look at the team that he has around him defensively and stuff like that, and to be 9-4 on the Marlins, who are just 43 and 48, it's not great. So to be that good, he's only 26 years old. He's only getting better, and like you said, if he can keep this consistently, he's this generation's Pedro Martinez, which is very high praise from us. So
yes,
unless you have anything else to say on Alcantara,
he does. This year, saying 176 ERA through 138 innings, he leads all pitchers in wins above replacement, which is a big advanced analytic in today's game. So I don't see anybody touching him really.
Yeah. Gotcha. So with that said, those are our MVPs and our Cy Young winners. I feel like, we're both trending in the right direction here. We both have the same idea, which is just saying how obvious it is. And all these guys are in a league of their own, and they're just in the highest tier of player. And so we'll move on to most improved player, which is probably one of my favorite accolades that a player can win. And I feel like you got some pretty good ones, so I'll let you start.
So I'll start on the National League side. I'll go, because we've been starting with the AL. I'll go Ryan Helsley here, reliever for the Cardinals. Last year he had about a 4.76 ERA through 51 appearances, and now this year I'm pretty sure he's given up like maybe 2 or 3 runs all year.
Yeah.
And he has been absolutely masterful. His stuff's electric, and obviously there's a lot of guys that you could put into this category and say, hey, they're the most improved player, but I think Ryan Helsley just has stuck out the most for me. And then I don't know if you want to do your
him on the mound last night was, I know we like to talk about Emmanuel Classic, but him on the mound last night was nuts. Throwing consistent 103. Like, you make the All-Star game, like, oh, like, okay, let's go. It's like a game of pickup. We're going to have fun. And you get up to the mound, and Ryan Helsley's gassing 103 inside.
Right on the corner.
Right on the corner.
And then he had the announcer go like, whoa!
Unhittable. So, yeah, I can definitely see that. And then for my NL pick, I had C.J. Cron, who's been just absolutely lights out for Colorado. If you look at his stats, he's been very good. And I've been seeing him constantly in these little packages for the Red Sox, just because they're very interested in Daniel Bard as well. But this is a guy that's been in the league since 2014. He's batting .298 this year, 69 RBIs. He's played in almost every single game. He's an all-star. And for a guy who's on a team like the Rockies, who are having just a tough year, it's good to have bright spots like him that you can kind of build around. So, yeah, that's who I'm going with. I think it's just the basic pick. I was definitely thinking Ryan Helsley as well, but I think it's between these two guys.
Yep. And then, of course, on the AL side, another kick in the dick for
another kick in the dick.
I mean, it's
how many more can we take?
Right? Like, how many can you take until your balls are blue? I mean, come on.
Get in line, Martin Perez.
Martin Perez. I mean, everybody knows from last year, he sucked.
He was the 5th best pitcher on the goddamn Boston Red Sox.
And he sucked. He was terrible.
We lost him to the Rangers, didn't even bat an eye. I was like, okay, good riddance, whatever.
Yeah, I was like, oh,
we can find a 5th guy somewhere else.
I was like, oh, yeah, him and Garrett Richards are gone to the Texas Rangers. Bye-bye, see you later.
Yeah.
And then he comes around with a 1.76 ERA All-Star appearance. I mean, what happened? What did Texas do differently that we didn't do?
I have no goddamn idea.
But
the guy's way past his prime to be this good, and it's just like it's to the point where the Red Sox are in such a tough spot where I'm not even surprised. So
no.
It is what it is. So that's that. And then for my AL, another one, Andrew Benintendi. Do you guys know he used to play for the Red Sox?
Nope.
You know that?
I didn't have his T-shirt. I wasn't his favorite player.
Yep.
I wasn't my favorite player or anything, right? Nope. I didn't wear 16 because of Andrew Benintendi. No.
You're my biggest fan. No, I mean I'm your biggest fan. That's what you meant. So Andrew Benintendi, Martin Perez hurt too much to put as my most improved. So I put Benintendi. Obviously, if you're a Red Sox fan, you know this guy. He's on the chopping block. He's on the trade block for the Royals. And he's just having a career year. He's batting .317, 102 hits, 37 RBIs on a team that's just pure trash.
Yeah.
He's pure trash. So this is a guy that you lost to the Royals when you weren't doing too well. The Red Sox weren't too well. And you kind of shipped them off and look in another direction. And it turns out if you just kept him and let him find his game back, he'd do that, and that's what he's doing for the Royals. He's an all-star this year, and he'll probably be dealt to a divisional rival because the Red Sox deserve it.
Yeah, obviously, he had that 2020 season where he just could not figure out how to hit the baseball, and then all of a sudden he has revived his career as kind of just like a contact hitter almost. Yeah. The power is not there anymore. He's not really hitting for home runs, but he's just flat out hitting the ball. He's finding areas to put the ball in play and getting on base.
Exactly, which is what you need players to do.
Yeah,
which is a player that Chaim Bloom would love having as well.
Well, I mean, it's so different because you think about the modern MLB today. Everyone wants you to lift the ball and hit the ball hard and out of the stadium. It's kind of like it's a nice change of pace, I would say, to see a guy like this who was so popular in like the 2000s, even like the 2010s, like your leadoff guy's not hitting for power at all, but just finding gaps and stealing bases.
Exactly. That's what you need, and that's what Benny brings to a team. And obviously he'll probably get a large haul at the trade deadline, which, I'm numb by now. It's whatever. Just go to the Yankees already, dude.
Right.
Like, whatever. I'm just
stick
used
the
to
fork
it.
In me, will
I'm
you?
used to it. So that'll wrap it up for our most improved player. We'll move on to Rookie of the Year. Rookie of the Year, which I have one person down, NL. Like, I just really, there's no one that was really catching my eye.
Yeah, I just kind of went with the two. You could say the two Braves, Spencer Strider and Michael Harris. I mean, they've stepped in right away and made an impact for the Atlanta Braves. Spencer Strider came out of absolute nowhere and started throwing absolute shed. And I was like, oh,
Chet.
okay, who's this guy? And then does it on Sunday Night Baseball, and you're like, oh, okay, this kid's actually pretty legit.
Real deal.
Like, he's pretty legit. And then, I mean, Michael Harris has been a solid outfielder for the Braves as well, but I just want to talk about the AL.
We have the same guy.
Yeah.
Julio Rodriguez, which is, if you watched the All-Star game yesterday.
Him and Juan Soto were the talk of the weekend.
For sure. For sure. Two very young, talented Dominican Republic players, both under 24 years old. And the future of the league. I know Julio Rodriguez, if you look at him, analytically, he's not too good, but he's 21 years old, and he's batting .275 on a Mariners team that's 9 games above 500. So obviously, I think he definitely has an incredible amount of room to improve. And you saw just the pure amount of talent that he had from the last 4 days of the All-Star game, the All-Star break. So I think he'll have an even better second half just based off the hype that he has and the confidence that he's built. So I think he was a no-brainer.
Yeah, no-brainer.
No-brainer. So do you have anything else to add? Or?
Nope.
Okay. Well, that'll wrap it up for the baseball talk for today. Pretty sure that was about an hour's worth of baseball talk, which it was a long weekend. A lot happened. Oh, we have to do one more. Sorry about that. One more award. The World Series. World Series predictions. Do you want me to go first?
You can go first.
I'll go first. I'll let you go. Yeah, okay. So from the AL, I have, meet the new boss, same as the old boss, the Houston Astros. I think they're just too damn consistent and too damn experienced. They've been here a million times. They have the talent. Justin Verlander's looking like Justin Verlander of 10 years ago.
Yeah, right.
So, I mean, he's back in the saddle. It's perfect for them. And then you have guys like Framber Valdez who are back pitching. And then the regular crew and Kyle Tucker looks like, the guy that they expected him to be. So he's back. And then that's who I have from the AL. I think they just edge out the Yankees. I think we talked about them staying consistent. They can beat the Astros. But I think just with the guys that they have and the experience that, the players have is not as much as they'd like it to be. So I think being in the ALCS against the Astros would be very beneficial to them. But I just think they just missed the hump, and I think Houston edges them. So I think that's who makes it out of the AL. And then from the NL, I have the Cardinals. I think that's who Juan Soto goes to. I think they get a pretty good package, and if they can get him, Goldschmidt, and Arenado going with guys like Helsley that they have on the mound that are coming up and staying consistent, I think, it's very hypothetical if they can get Juan Soto. I think they can kind of push the envelope and get there. So I do believe that's who's going to land them. So it's definitely hypothetical. It's all based on if Soto goes there, but that's who I have. I have Houston versus the Cardinals, and I'll take Houston.
All right.
As your 2023 World Series champions.
Looking at the camera right now, I'm going for throats right now.
I
am going Subways. I am going Subway Series. Mets versus Yankees.
This is Rob Manfred's wet dream.
Yep. This is a baseball wet dream. I mean, you got just one city, two teams that don't like each other whatsoever. And these are two of the top teams in the MLB right now. And I think that both the Mets and the Yankees are going to load up at the deadline. They're going to load their lineup, load their pitching staff. And I just think that, honestly, I think the competitive nature of those two teams, seeing them comparing themselves from one another and the fan bases going back and forth at one each other, I think it's just a match made in heaven. And I think it's definitely a possibility. Obviously, you got the Mets. Obviously, we talked about Edwin Diaz, Pistol Pete Alonso, the Polar Bear. You got Jeff McNeil doing his thing. Eduardo Escobar coming over from the Diamondbacks. DeGrom coming back. You got Max Scherzer, who's a proven postseason pitcher, World Series champion.
Reasons,
and then you got the Yankees, who obviously we had a whole pretty much 10-minute, 15-minute conversation about how good they've been. I'm going with the Mets. I think the Yankees go in to that World Series, and I think they choke it away.
Choke it.
I
would love
choke
that.
It away.
I would absolutely love that. I think especially with how much talent the Mets have on the mound, I think it would be great to see their top dogs who are getting paid $300 million get absolutely gassed by Jacob deGrom, Max Scherzer, and Edwin Diaz. I think that would be, like you said, just absolute pandemonium and the perfect storm for baseball fans. So you have Mets. I have Houston. I would love to see any of these 4 teams make it. Any matchup, no matter what it is, I think would be very entertaining.
Obviously, you can throw the Dodgers into that hat as well.
Always
there's a lot of teams that could come out of nowhere. I mean, we weren't supposed to go to the ALCS last year.
Exactly.
We took Houston to 6 games.
This year,
so.
it could be Toronto.
Yeah.
That makes it there, so who knows?
It could be, a late bloomer like Seattle. I mean, it's you don't know. It's the uncertainty about baseball because it's such a long game and it's such an unpredictable game. But I just would... I would like Rob Manfred. I would have a wet dream
for sure.
With this World Series matchup.
Gotcha. Okay, so that wraps up baseball talk. Obviously, we covered mostly everything. There will definitely be more stuff as the trade deadline, starts getting going, and the second half of the season also starts getting going, and we'll be covering everything. So it's your one-stop shop for everything baseball, all baseball news. But now we transition to a sport we never talk about, hockey. You ever heard of hockey?
Nope.
Still going. And just when you thought that, we were getting a little bit of a vacation from, the hockey news and all the movements and all the transactions and whatnot, Matthew Tkachuk has informed the Calgary Flames that he will not be re-signing.
The Flames are down bad. They're down bad.
They are so down bad. A year after, just like a couple months after they had this deep playoff run, and they lose the Edmonton Oilers in a pretty, confusing fashion. The Flames were rolling. They had good coaching. They had Johnny Gaudreau, who was putting up just a one-of-one season.
That top line with Gaudreau, Lindholm, and Tkachuk was just so good all year long. And consistently good.
And now Elias Lindholm is going to show up to training camp with none of them there and new line mates.
It's the Will Smith meme with the empty house. Where did everybody go?
With Milan Lucic as his left wing. I've just never seen. The poor Calgary fans are so passionate. They're so faithful to their team, and for everything that they have been building for all these years to just be gone in a simple offseason. We're not even in August yet.
No.
It's just truly baffling. So I know there's been reports from Eric Francis of ESPN saying that Matthew Tkachuk is gone within the next 2 weeks and that St. Louis is going to be looking to acquire him. They already tried. I don't know if you heard about that, but I think it was Torrey Krug, Jordan Kyrou, another defenseman and a pick, and Calgary said no, which I think is a little bold just based off the players they're getting. But you have to take on a lot of that Krug contract, which you don't want to do if
he's not Calgary. Really fit in your Daryl Sutter system.
Definitely not, absolutely not. So I think there's it's clear they're looking in a certain direction in terms of the price that they're looking for. But St. Louis is definitely a top suitor. But this just really came out of nowhere. I know when you had Johnny Gaudreau leave for the Blue Jackets, which we talked about a couple days ago, as just being baffling. And after listening to his interview on Spit and Chicklets yesterday, it's still baffling. But you just thought, okay, Matthew Tkachuk's going to get the bag. Like, that's their guy now. You know what I mean? Now that they have all this money that they can give to Matthew Tkachuk, he's going to be staying put. And now he's letting them know in shocking fashion that he's not going to be there. So, just based off that, like, what's your initial reaction? I think, I just kind of want to know, like, where you think a potential landing spot is, because besides St. Louis, I don't know. It's still a lot to process as a hockey fan.
It's very strange because it happened so quickly, and I feel so bad for the Calgary Flames fans because they're so loyal and passionate. I've always wanted to go to the Saddle Dome. That barn looks like it rocks. I mean, and for this to all just happen in like a week span is just not good for everyone's health up there in Calgary. But I think that I would like to see him go to St. Louis. Like, that'd be a heartwarming story, but I don't think that it's going to happen just because of all the big contracts that they do have.
Right.
Another crazy idea that I was talking about was him maybe going playing with his brother in Ottawa.
Yeah.
Like they have the prospect pool to do it. Like, they got the money. I'm pretty sure they got the money to make it work too. And then another team that I actually just thought of that maybe could work, and I think that could be very lethal down the line, is the Anaheim Ducks.
For sure. And they definitely have the prospect pool.
And you know what? They brought in Ryan Strome and Vetrano. They're starting to show that, okay, we want to start going for it a little bit now. What better winger to have for Trevor Zegras than fucking Matthew Tkachuk?
Exactly. It'd be one thing. It should be America's team. Troy Terry, Trevor Zegras, Matthew Tkachuk. That would just be ridiculous. Mm-hmm. So I always root for the Ducks. They're kind of my West Coast team. So to see him go there would be perfect because, one, he's not a guy that's going to be, troubling you in the standings if you're in the East. and he's kind of out of sight, out of mind on a kind of up-and-up Western Conference team. So that's definitely my ideal spot. Do I think that's where he goes? No, I think he definitely kind of forces his way into St. Louis, probably gets in contact with their GM and tries to ask them to drive up the price, maybe to retain some of that crude contract. And who knows, maybe he takes a little not significant, but a little less money just in order to be in St. Louis, because he's made it clear that's where he's wanted to be. That's his home. So I feel like if I had to guess, that's where he's going. But it came out of nowhere. You thought this was a guy, he's pretty young. He's been in the league, 4 years?
Yeah.
You definitely thought he was going to stick around longer than this. So definitely confusing, but it'll be interesting to see how it develops. Obviously, we're going to see something. It's very similar to the Juan Soto, trade in the MLB, but obviously he's not going to be the face of the NHL. But it's a very young talent that's going to fetch a lot of money in a large package from different organizations that are ready to make that deal. So just processing it, I definitely didn't know what to think until anything was concrete, and then we're going up the elevator, going to the studio today, and bam, like, it's official. He lets them know it's set in stone that he's not coming back. So crazy, but I think it's gonna be something to follow, and just you got to feel for Calgary.
You had to feel like they would at least get one of them back,
right? At least.
And now they have, they got $20 million in cap space. So like, what do you go get Nazem Kadri now?
You have no choice.
Like, what do you do?
You have to. You got to go get Nazem Kadri. Go get Sonny Milano, get every single other unrestricted free agent on the market, because you got the cap, and if you want to save the potential that this team has, I mean, you got to make some deals.
They have good depth.
Exactly.
Like, you got Blake Coleman, Tyler Toffoli. You got, honestly, you had 4 good lines last year. So now you got to find ways to fill holes and have other guys step up.
Exactly. So I mean, it's confusing. But like I said, we'll just have to wait and see how it develops, because there's not that much there yet. Not a lot of interest being drawn from many teams. Not a lot of rumors in the mill yet. But obviously, we're gonna keep you guys updated on the Instagram. If we're not doing a podcast when the news breaks, it'll be on the Instagram within a minute at Fairweather Fans Podcast. Give it a follow if you haven't yet. So that's that. Like I said, not much to report on as of now. So, but the thing that is set in stone, Johnny Gaudreau in Columbus, he did an interview with Spit and Chicklets podcast where he kind of broke it down. He was very uncontroversial in the interview. Didn't really give much up. He talked just about how Philly kind of left no offer on the table. Didn't really get into it. Didn't give him an offer because they didn't want to have to move cap space, which is understandable. And then it came down to New Jersey and Columbus, and Columbus didn't give him a call and give him the offer until 4:00 in the afternoon that day. So just crazy how it ended up. And he said he was kind of surprised how no one saw Columbus coming, but I mean, it's just a team that you kind of feel he had to settle with because he gave him the most decent offer. And yeah, he just talked about how he's excited to move in there, and the questions they gave him were like, did you really know much about Columbus and like kind of what city it is, and it was kind of just him trying to make the most out of his decision and being like, oh yeah, like I've heard all these great things, like Brandon Dubinsky still lives here and all this stuff, and I don't know, it reeks of they were the only team that was able to give me the money and the term, and they were the last offer left on the table after Calgary backed out after I declined their offer and Philly said no. So it definitely didn't seem like it was his number one option, but I mean, it seems like he's kind of making the most out of it, and it'll be interesting to see where they land next year in terms of standings.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just what a confusing day that was. Seeing, oh my God, he's going to Columbus, because I feel like I talked about it on the last podcast too. I was like, you never felt like you heard Columbus pop up at all. It was always Philly, New Jersey, and then Calgary obviously got declined. But nobody had any breaking like, oh, Columbus has now offered Johnny Gaudreau some money. It just kind of came out of the blue.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just like I went into that interview hoping to get some answers from him and kind of see them pick his brain about why he made that decision, and
he kind of just bobbed and weaved.
It was kind of just like, oh, I got the call and I took the offer. I knew that's where I wanted to be. There wasn't many specifics, so I mean, it's still just purely confusing to me. There was no reason. It kind of definitely seemed like after Philly fell through and Jersey didn't really give him the offer that he was looking for, that he wanted to go back to Calgary. He said in the interview that he tried to restructure and try and come to terms with a 7-year deal. And that just didn't work. So it's unfortunate, and it's sad to see organization like Calgary, who was so talented and had so much potential to make a deep run last year, and just didn't do it. You're like, okay, well they still have all the same guys. They just got to re-sign Tkachuk and Gaudreau and get right back to it. And his disdain to be in Calgary just led to the downfall of their organization. So it's sad to see it crumble, especially with how faithful of a fan base they have. But it's tough. So definitely, as bad as things are with the Bruins, it can always be worse. So that was tough. And then a little bit about the remaining free agents that we have. Obviously, there's a handful of them. I know I got a list here that can kind of look at and we can rattle them off. There's no huge names, but there's some decent guys in terms of talent. Just to rattle off a few, you got Nazem Kadri from Colorado. You have John Klingberg, who's 29 years old. Patrice Bergeron, who seems like it's going to be done and dusted soon enough. Obviously, he was making calls to all the draft picks. Pavel Zacha got a call after he was acquired, and so he's made all the indications that he's going to be back and he's going to be the captain for another year at age 37, which is kind of poetic.
Yep.
Nino Niederreiter, who is a great middle 6'4", that he's definitely going to land somewhere, and he's going to be helpful. He has great advanced statistics. He's a 3-zone player who can make all kinds of plays. Evan Rodriguez, your guy.
Erod.
Who's coming from the Penguins. He had a stretch of this season where he was absolutely dynamite playing with Crosby. So everyone saw the kind of potential that he has. I don't think he's going to be fetching a ton of money. I think he'll probably get somewhere in the 4 or 5s, which any team can give him. But he's definitely a top guy that's still out there. And then some more low-key names. Sonny Milano, who played with Trevor Zegras, he was kind of their guy, did like a lot of those trick plays, but I think he's known to just be a little lackluster in the defensive zone and the kind of the finer points of the game. That's why he probably hasn't fetched a big contract. He's still young, though. He's 26. And then my guy, Cheeseburger Phil, will be incredibly interesting to see where he lands. What team do you think kind of needs his services, and where do you see him ending up in terms of, landing Phil Kessel?
The Edmonton Oilers.
The Edmonton Oilers.
I've heard that the Oilers and him have been talking, and I really like that fit. Him playing with Draisaitl.
I love that.
Oh.
I absolutely love that. As a Phil Kessel guy through and through, I want him to be playing with the best players, and if you can match him up with 2 former MVPs, give me that all day.
Him playing on the power play.
Where do I order the jersey?
Right?
Yeah, Puljujärvi for Kessel. Trades 1 for 1. Even though they're both free agents, but whatever. that would be a great move. I could definitely see a potential reunion in Pittsburgh. I think they're old and they have no trouble getting older. They know what works. Sullivan knows what works. They know that the skill that he has on the offensive end, and I think if they can bring him back for the cheap, especially with the guys they've lost, I think they could absolutely do that.
Played under Brian Burke as a Toronto Maple Leaf. He's the one that went out and got him from the Bruins to the Leafs. I mean, I could definitely see that reunion happening.
Right. So, just get him on a team that's not the Arizona Coyotes. And then you have Paul Stastny, which he's 36. I would not be surprised if he hung him up, but I feel that he still feels like he has a little bit left in the tank. So who knows where he might end up, but that'll be interesting.
I could definitely see him going to like a bottom feeder team on a cheap deal, and then deadline comes around, he gets dealt to a team that could use a center.
Exactly.
So, I feel like that's kind of the position on Mr. Stastny.
Mr. Stastny. Someone goes, Chuck Fletcher drooling at the idea of $7 million for 7 years for Stastny to the Flyers. That would just be ridiculous. But I want the Bruins to stay away from that, even if they can get him for the cheap. And then you have Johan Larsson, who's a great defender. He's only 29 years old. I could see him just re-signing with Seattle, who I believe he was with.
He went to Washington.
Went to Washington afterwards. So who knows? And then Danton Heinen, our boy, average Danton.
Yep.
He's the
You're looking for a 3rd, 4th line player that's just going to be out there?
He's going to be out there.
He'll be out there.
He's certainly a winger in the NHL.
Yep.
Danton Heinen, he is a player that plays in the NHL.
He is an NHL left wing / center.
That is what he is. So, they're not the big fish, but there's somebody. So I'll take it all day, especially if we can keep getting moves. And if Klingberg and Kadri sign somewhere, which 2 days ago on Monday when we were recording, I was kind of hoping that those would be done by now so we could talk about them. But hey, it's all right. Yeah, it's going to take time, and I think in terms of Kadri, he's slowly moving away from the possibility of him returning to Colorado. But with these guys, it seems like that, if they were getting the interest that they should be, they would have already signed because someone would have already given them, given them the contract that they were looking for. So they're just being patient. I think Kadri makes most sense for Calgary, like I said, just based off them having $20 million. And they got to make some moves. So he definitely plays towards their style. So that'll be interesting. And then Klingberg, I got no idea.
Yeah, no,
At this point, just go back to Dallas.
Go to Seattle.
Like, dude, you're stressing me out. You're stressing me out.
Go play with Alexiak in Seattle.
Exactly. Just
right?
go. Just go.
Just do something.
Like,
man.
people aren't that interested anymore.
I don't want to know where you like. This isn't a big sweepstakes.
This is 2019. It's not 2019. You're not John Klingberg of 3 years ago. You're a great player.
You're still a good offensive defenseman.
Exactly.
But you're not.
I'm not waking up every morning checking my notifications to see where John Klingberg signed.
This is not the John Klingberg sweepstakes.
When he does it, it'll be cool, but it'll, like you said, it'll either be to Seattle or Winnipeg or Dallas.
Not blowing my socks off.
No, like, I don't even know if I'll like take the effort to like post it on the Instagram because I just don't think people fucking care enough. So in terms of that, let's go, buddy. Wrap it up. But that really does it there. I don't think in terms of Sonny Milano, I think he'll go to LA. Just based off, they are not big into these guys that, play in the corners, guys like Kevin Fiala. They like guys who can put the puck in the net and score the goal. So I could also see him go to the Sharks, another West Coast team. So I think he stays on the West Coast. But he's he's a good player.
Yeah.
He's a good player. So I hope he finds his footing somewhere else. But, that'll really wrap it up for hockey. I know we don't really have that much besides Tkachuk and the remaining other guys. So we'll obviously keep you guys updated on where that goes in the next couple of days. But for right now, we really got nothing. That'll wrap it up for MLB and NHL. We'll move on to our rivalries, which you don't have one. I put one down just because this video has been sweeping the nation. It's the guy trying to get the autograph from Justin Verlander at the All Star game and knocking over the children.
Yeah.
I don't think there's been a video on the internet that has made my blood boil quite like this one has in the last couple of days. I just keep watching it, and I keep seeing him with the ball in his hand knocking over the little kid in front of him.
Yeah.
And the little kid's like, dude, like, fucking relax. And the guy, like, gives it right back to him, kind of, like, hits him with his forearm and, like, says something. Like, dude, you're 50 years old. This kid's 12. I get it. You're trying to sell the ball on eBay and whatnot, but you just got to grow the fuck up.
Yeah, right. Like, come on.
I know people have been kind of bringing in outlying factors, being like, oh, what if, like, he's getting it for his son? Okay, then like, get the son up there.
There's no need to shove over a kid, regardless of if you're giving it your wife who has, cancer or something like that.
Oh, okay, that's another thing. But I'll tell you this.
Like that kind of situation,
for
like
sure.
For a family member who's maybe sick.
Exactly.
I didn't mean it like egregious.
No,
like that.
right, I get it.
But like, come on, you can't be shoving over little kids. That's gonna make their like lives. Hey, remember that time we got a signed baseball from Justin Verlander?
Right, you give this ball to your son. He's like, well, let me just start with this. The excitement of getting a signed ball from a player is having the player right in front of you, signing it, and then having it to commemorate that moment of him being right there. If your psycho dad who's in full uniform for the Padres are bumping over these little kids, not only him going viral, probably getting harassed. Like, I would be surprised if this guy got fired from his job.
Yeah.
But like, if you're the son and you just get that signed ball and like, it's just not worth it.
Scumbag of the week award.
It's not
right
worth
there.
it. So I think a lot of people were like, oh, what if what if he has this? What if he has that? What if he got it for his son? The guy's probably selling it on his fucking eBay account.
I mean, look at the guy. Come on.
He's a collector. You see it all the time. Like, who mentioned it? Some guy, Gosman.
He
tweeted about
it.
He was like, this is nothing new. I see this every single time I sign balls for kids. Like, there's these old people who call themselves collectors that are always stealing foul balls from children and stuff like that. That's just a problem with the game of baseball. So you can say, oh, you don't know what's really going on with this guy. He could be getting it from his dad. Dude, 99% chance this guy's a collector. The thing's going right on eBay, and he's flipping it for a penny, okay? So don't even try and bring the whole entire sob story and just side with this fucking douchebag for the sake of siding with the douchebag. The guy's a fucking weirdo. Every single time I see it, I'm like, this guy's an absolute clown. Get me his name. I want to find his Instagram. Comment mean things in the fucking comment section.
I swear, like, I people don't even realize like autograph etiquette. Like, you sit there, like, okay, he doesn't sign your ball, so what? He's gonna sign other people, so what? You don't go shoving over little kids. You don't fucking turn into the boss, Jerome Bettis, and start trucking kids, right? That's not. It's embarrassing, right? It's embarrassing.
Some of the top tweets I've found about it is some guy tweeted, he goes, if you're a grown-ass man fighting against a 12-year-old to get a baseball signed, you should straight up be banned from enjoying sports.
Yeah.
You should. I mean, the guy's in a full jersey, San Diego Padres hat, and he's just bumping this kid, sticking his out. Like, imagine if Justin Verlander took the time out of his day to pick his head up, see this guy, and be like, dude, are you fucking serious?
Like,
you call yourself an adult? I mean, it's ridiculous, but it's the same thing with fucking Zach Hampel.
Oh my God, that guy! I hate
sucks.
that guy.
That guy sucks.
I hate that guy.
So when Gosman says it's a recurring theme, he's sure as shit right, because you see it in multiple spots. So.
And I'm pointing my finger at Zach Hampel.
Yeah.
The finger is pointed.
The finger's pointed. So, I mean, it's definitely a problem. Maybe the rivalry isn't just this guy. It's all fucking weird adults trying to get autographs, and baseball's from the guys who are their same age. Like,
yeah.
When I'm 30 years old and I'm at a hockey game, I'm not going to be banging on the glass being like, yo, Cole Caulfield, like, give me this puck, and taking it from a little kid.
Right. Like, it's not happening.
It's not happening. It's just the sake of growing the fuck up, looking in the mirror.
Right.
And that guy's, I'm so glad they got it on film, because it happens everywhere in baseball. So to see it finally being exposed and those kind of people being clowned on the internet,
good.
It's due diligence that they deserve. So do you have a rivalry?
No, I don't.
Okay, that's fine.
Don't.
So with that said, we'll move on to jerseys of the week. The biggest one has been the Carolina Panthers have announced that they are but they have black helmets to match the black jerseys for some games, and they'll be bringing back for a couple games.
Oh, I do have a jersey.
If you have not seen them, they are hard.
Yeah.
Hard. I know.
Hard.
I mean, the one thing that I thought of is from someone who played football, I know you can attest, but if you're playing a game in September and it's 75 degrees and you're going to be in these jerseys on the turf, you're going to be sweating your fucking dick off.
Yeah.
Dick off. They're going to look sweet, but like you got to stay hydrated.
Try 75 on the turf. Try $110 in August. Training camp.
Right. I doubt they'll wear them on the training camp. They said that they're going to wear them for 2 or 3 games. So that'll be interesting, but I love them. I think just they only had the silver jerseys because they match with the whites, but like you said, we talked about last episode, the ability to interchange helmet colors has allowed a universe of different possibilities for the jerseys that we could be getting, and we see them. It's like almost every day now some new NFL jerseys being released. Yeah, exactly.
The New York Giants today.
With their old school jerseys.
The old school, like Lawrence Taylor, Phil Sims.
It's kind of just like a blue base, white shirt with like red stripes.
Yeah, like
and then like the
old, they have like the old school collar, and like if you looked at their like uniforms from back then, it was kind of a different shade of blue too with the helmet. So the helmet that they brought back, it's more of like a navy blue.
It says Giants.
Yeah.
In full lettering. So I love those for sure, and the Panthers are nice. Kind of just like a little bit more. Panthers have like the more modern look, and then the Giants are bringing back a couple throwbacks, which if the Giants had jerseys that I didn't like now, it's like, okay, bring those back for good, like you have with like who do we got? I mean, the Oilers just brought theirs back.
Thank God.
Kelly Green, like a lot of teams that have bad jerseys are bringing back their old ones because they're better.
Pat the Patriot.
But in terms of the Giants, I like the jerseys they have now. I think less is more, and I think their modern day jerseys are gorgeous. But these are good, especially as little alternates. So we have those, and then I have last night's All Star Game unis. I know there was a lot of hate just based off the initial reaction that I saw. People didn't like them just because they were the typical, black and gold, white and gold. But I think they look so clean.
Oh yeah.
I know there's a lot of people who are very team let players wear their own
like
team's
that.
here.
I do like
so
that.
like the Red Sox wear their Red Sox jerseys, and it's like white against solid colors.
Yeah, I do like that.
And I get it; it's a revenue thing, but when you do it right, I don't really have a problem with it. So I think that works. And then I have MLB jerseys in general because, like I said, for the photo shoots, for the All-Star photo shoots, each team wore their home jersey. And just seeing all the white jerseys, seeing how many good color schemes and how simple baseball jerseys are, it's great. MLB has great jerseys.
And you can wear a baseball jersey to whatever like you can throw a sweatshirt on, you can throw the baseball jersey on. You want to go to the beach and let a couple buttons off, you can do that too.
Bingo. So
right? It's an all-purpose jersey.
Right. To see them all wearing them at the photo shoot day for the All-Star game and seeing the collection of all the great jerseys with the hats and stuff like that. I just made me appreciate it. So thumbs up, baseball jerseys. You're doing good.
Yep,
and
they're doing
you
right
had the baseball. You had the Giants one.
Yeah.
Okay, so that'll wrap up jerseys of the week. What we watching? If you didn't listen to last episode, new segment that we're going to wrap up every single episode with. This is a sports and entertainment podcast. Never forget it.
Nope, can't.
And this episode, we have the top 5. We're going to do a list. I know it's a little bit of a podcast cop-out, but we're going to do a list. Top 5 sports movies.
Yeah,
because it's a sports and entertainment podcast. Don't forget it. So we're gonna do it. We're gonna do the draft. We're each gonna pick one. We have a very long list here. We're gonna pick our 5 favorites, and then on the Instagram, gonna do a little graphic. I know if for those that follow the Instagram, if you don't follow it,
at
please.
Fairweather Fans Pod.
At Fairweather Fans Podcast. Don't forget it. We're gonna do graphics for what we watch every single episode, and let you guys comment your opinion on it as well, and tell us what we missed on here. So we're gonna do top 5 sports movies. I'm gonna let you go first.
You're gonna give me the first overall pick.
I'm a good guy.
You son of a bitch.
I'm gonna do it.
Having first overall.
So you are the first overall pick. We're gonna tally them up. See who has the best team. So I'll give you the floor.
All right, first overall. I am gonna go with Miracle. I'm gonna go with Miracle.
I mean, it's the easy choice.
It's the easy number one. It's the Derrick Henry of the draft.
It's the Juraj Slavkovsky of sports movie mock drafts.
Yeah, I just think that just growing up being a hockey player, understanding what that story was all about. Obviously, Herb Brooks. There's the guy who played Dave Silk, who was a coach of mine in that movie. He coached me. He's a member at the country club that I work at. So it's pretty cool how it all ties together. I think just some of the quotes from that movie too. It's such a run through a wall kind of movie.
I mean, you have some great movies on this list. You have Rocky, Remember the Titans, Slapshot, all classics. But just if we're talking, you turn the movie on, start to finish, best sports movie, it's Miracle.
It is Miracle.
I mean, the music. I mean, Herbie as who's it, Kurt Russell?
Yep.
I mean, it's just perfect. He plays that role perfectly. The music, the sound effects, the actors. Even though the fact that they all had to learn to skate, and some of them already knew how to skate, but they're great actors, and they're portraying guys that, you know, you look back at that run, the 1980 Olympic team, and it's like a team of destiny, and they portrayed that better than a lot of biopics do. So
yes.
I think just in terms of a movie in general, this is a very good movie.
From top to bottom.
But a sports movie, it's the best.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. You know, it's a great drama, but I'm going to have to go pivot towards the comedic side. It's timeless. It's so rewatchable. I'm going with Happy Gilmore. Adam Sandler, Chubbs Peterson. It's unbelievable. It is so funny. Every joke hits. Adam Sandler is just so naturally hilarious. Another movie from start to finish is just like every scene, every act. Shooter McGavin.
He shouldn't have been standing there.
He shouldn't have been standing there. Just, I mean,
there's so many one-liners that I use every single day of my life that are in Happy Gilmore. I mean, my private story yesterday, the video of Tiger Woods and Rory pointing to Tiger's kid waving, and Chubbs, and then it just pans to Chubbs, the alligator, and Abe Lincoln. Hey, Happy. I mean, the soundtrack in that movie too, with Leonard Skinner, Tuesday's Gone. It's such a classic Adam Sandler.
Ben Stiller as the
Hal.
Yeah, as Hal at the retirement home, and the jokes he makes. It's just like you kind of pivot away from the golf scenes and you go to those with the grandma.
Yeah,
and it's like hitting the car and it's get me out of here.
You died, leave us alone.
and then she's like, my fingers hurt while she's knitting, and she goes, okay, you just
pulled landscape. Anybody
duty.
else's fingers hurt? I didn't think so.
Every character is
good
just
news.
so.
We're gonna extend arts and crafts time by 4 hours today.
I mean, it's every single second of that movie is just pure comedy. I know it's a little raunchy and a little sappy sometimes, but it's classic.
Yeah,
it's an absolute classic.
It transcended golf too. Like
absolutely,
nobody in the 70s and the 80s was going up to the golf ball and trying to take a run at and swing at it.
Exactly.
Ever since that movie came out, I'm pretty sure it happens almost once a golf round when someone's trying to do a Happy Gilmore off the tee.
It absolutely, it's in the upper echelon for movies that are so quotable and have so many memeable scenes.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable. So I had to take that. That's my one pick.
Yeah, that's a great pick. That was probably going to be my pick.
So I'll leave the next one to you.
All right, so my second pick, in terms of, you know what, I'm just gonna go with it. I'm gonna have to
just go with it, dude.
I'm just gonna have to go with Remember the Titans.
Oh, you bastard!
And you know what? A lot of these movies I love, but in terms of an actual film, I think that Remember the Titans, just the storyline and the acting,
the message.
The Denzel Washington, and you know how they portray, you know, football into real life in a sense is just so cool to me. And I feel like it's just an all-time classic movie. Not much as a comedy, but more as, you know, kind of a life movie almost, I would say. Portrayed
left side, strong side.
Yep,
absolutely. Just in terms of a period piece, it depicts that time in Alabama. It's obviously just, you know, historically a tough time in history.
Yeah.
And not only to portray that accurately, but to kind of give a strong message with great performances. It's a reason that in history class you always watched it.
Yeah.
The cool history teacher always put it on those little box TVs they bring in, and you watch it there just because of the message. You get a little glimpse on what life was like back then, and like you said, it's perfect. So, you know, that's it's good. It's a good little second pick there for you. Obviously, there's a lot of things that I can pick here.
I feel like I just had to do it.
But I think with number 2, my second pick, I'm going to have to pick Space Jam.
Ooh.
The original Space Jam. Obviously, basketball is an incredibly popular sport in America. Space Jam and Michael Jordan, the original one, not that shitty fucking reboot that LeBron did, whatever you want to call that. It was god-awful. The original Space Jam, you have the Looney Tunes, you have Michael Jordan, you have Bill Murray. It works. It works.
You got Charles Barkley, you got Patrick Ewing, Larry Bird. I mean, you got all these guys in it. Yeah, but I got a Bugsy head cover on my driver. I have a Bugs Bunny head cover. I mean, that is just such an all-time classic movie. That's such a good pick.
Exactly. I don't have a bad thing to say about it. The Looney Tunes, they're great, and who knows who knew why they worked so well in a basketball movie. Yeah. So I'm going with Space Jam.
All right. Well, I've been kind of sitting here looking at this list, and I have to get this one off the board. Major League.
Really?
Major League.
Oh my God, it's a horrible pick.
That
is a horrible pick.
I had to get it off the board. There's a lot of good ones that I like. I could choose any of these, but Major League is just arguably my favorite sports movie, just because the comedic sense to it.
Yeah.
Like, just because they're physically trying to make this team so fucking bad. Like Lou Brown, like come on, like you got like Wild Thing, Rick Vaughn, you got
great movie.
Lou Brown, you got Serrano, you got Willie Mays Hayes,
Yep.
like you go down the list. Dorn, like fucking the manager pissing on his contract when he tells him he doesn't want to do any push-ups. Like I just felt like that's such a me movie, but I just saw who you went with and you did.
It's like, why would you even? I saw this.
Well, because it's like that's what my.
It is the Matthew Barzal of draft movies. That is a Jakob Zaboral pick.
Hey, the garden's right there. Did I just get a taste of the Don Sweeney?
Yeah, you absolutely did. It's something in the water, dude, because you passed up the best. It is up there with Miracle. I don't even know how it fell this far. Moneyball, Brad Pitt, Jonah Hill. It is it's the best baseball movie.
Yep.
It is the best acting. Aaron Sorkin. He's written The Social Network. He's written a ton of other stuff I can't really think of off the top of my head. But Moneyball, I can watch it a million times. It is a story that tells so much about the industry of baseball, the advanced analytics, how ostracized it was when it first kind of brought itself into the Major League Baseball scene. And it's great.
Yeah.
So many quotable one-liners, perfect ending, great characters. Billy Beane, I mean, it is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
It is perfect. I don't have a bad thing to say about it. It's in my top 10 movies of all time. It's my dad's favorite movie of all time.
I watched it all the time.
All the time.
I watch it all the time.
It's on Netflix, so it's always available. Like being a sports media major, like we watch it in class.
Yeah.
That's how ridiculous my classes are. I get to watch Moneyball in class and write papers about it. I mean, the more and more you watch it, it's like, oh, like when I point that, like you're supposed to talk when I point to you. Is like, okay, why is this guy good? Because he gets on base. It's so quotable. The duo of Jonah Hill and Brad Pitt. Like, and even it is the only movie that it can end in. I'm pretty sure they lost in the ALDS that year.
Yeah, they did.
And it's like it's still satisfying.
And the movie, the way it starts too, with that loaded team with Johnny Damon, Jason Giambi, and Jason Isringhausen, and how it all starts. And that scene that you were talking about, okay, guys. If you don't say it, I'm gonna point at Pete.
I'm gonna point at Pete. So I mean, it's great. You have a smile on your face the whole entire time you watch it. It's just like watching Scott Hattenberg go from catcher to playing first base.
Hey, Scotty, pick a machine. He's a pick a machine.
Pick a machine. Like you said, that's the conversation we're having right now is proving my point as to why this movie's so timeless. It's so good. When it came out, it was phenomenal, and it's still so rewatchable. And it's just like. In terms of, I know I picked Happy Gilmore for the first round because it's funny, it makes me laugh. But in terms of a good drama that tells a good story, I'm picking Moneyball.
I really screwed up big time. I had a hell of a draft too. Miracle and Remember the Titans.
It was going very well for you.
And then I got to the third round and I pulled the fucking Don Sweeney.
You're good.
Okay,
You're
and
good.
now we got to recover here, like Don Sweeney does in the later rounds. All right, so here we go. I'm gonna go with a kind of a, not like a. One movie. I'm just gonna go with like a series movie. I'm gonna go with the Rocky movies.
Okay.
I feel like
that was another one.
Those have kind of just transcended time in a sense, and they actually created like a spin-off with two other movies with Michael B. Jordan, obviously Creed. But now I feel like getting Rocky into this mix. I mean, Rocky IV is one of the best movies I've ever seen. You get all the get the camera on me, man.
You're on air. But yeah, no, I agree. I really don't care for Creed 2. Creed 1, phenomenal movie. Love that movie.
Creed 2 was not that great.
Was a little bit predictable. I kind of felt like I knew everything that was going to happen. But yeah, the Rockies, obviously I haven't seen all of them, but most of them I've seen. I've enjoyed them. So that's a solid pick considering what's still on the board.
The storylines, the training montages, I mean, it's a movie that wants another run-through-a-wall movie for me.
Without question. So that's a great pick. I respect it. I think it's a big comeback pick for you there. That's a great franchise.
I got another one. I swear to God.
Oh, you know I'm gonna pick it. I will be. I might not. You might not pick it, but I'm going with Mighty Ducks. Just for my love of hockey. Those movies as a kid, I fucking ate them up with a spoon. You have Goldberg, you have Charlie Conway and his hot mom, you have Gordon Bombay, you have Julie the Cat Gaffney,
Banks.
You have Banks. You have so many iconic characters. You have the Bash Bros.
Yep.
I mean, it's really all I have to say. They're so lovable. It's another reason why Disney is doing these movies so well. They did Remember the Titans. They did Miracle. They did Mighty Ducks. We wouldn't have Trevor Zegras flipping the puck over that if this movie wasn't created either.
I mean, you had the knuckle puck. You had all these different.
Keenan Thompson as the knuckle puck. The Trinidad and Tobago hockey team.
Yep.
I don't care. You can say I should have picked Rudy. I should have picked Sandlot. This, that, or the other thing. I'm very happy with this pick.
And I will lock in Sandlot as that pick. I mean, this is my favorite baseball movie of all time. It's just such an all-time classic.
You're killing me, Smalls.
Yeah, you're killing me, Smalls. Like, you've got Wendy Peppercorn.
Yeah.
You got all the boys. It's just such a timeless classic, and it just reminds you of being a kid growing up and playing baseball, going down to the field, just swinging it for hours and hours, and then obviously you got that scene where it's 4th of July and they're playing under the fireworks. I mean, it's another reason is like, how can you not
them
be
losing
romantic?
The ball over the fence. It's absolutely classic. So, I think it's a movie that everyone loves. I love it. It's absolutely timeless. It reminds you playing Little League as a kid, as you said. So I think for a late round pick, I think it's an absolute great one. There's a lot on the board still. Definitely a lot off the board. I'm just deleting some stuff right here so we have a good idea of what's still on the board. Oh, there you go. Made it easy for me. I know I started with Happy Gilmore. Funny, very comedic, very, makes you laugh. And then I went with Moneyball, very good drama. And then I went back to Mighty Ducks. Children's movie, going back to drama. Give me The Blind Side.
There you go.
Give me The Blind Side.
That's a fantastic film.
You have those movies and those experiences in life where you kind of remember them being like, oh, that's like your sentient moment. That's like, that's the first movie I remember watching.
Yeah.
The Blind Side is definitely one of those movies where I first remember being a kid, watching those all the way through, and just Michael and the family dynamic that he Michael the family dynamic that he develops, and it's so heartwarming, and to see it at the end, it's 100% true story. It's perfect. So I really don't have that much to say about it. Sandra Bullock's classic. Just the story's so heartwarming. It's just a feel-good movie, and it's a great story coincidence. There's a reason why it won so many awards, and it's still a classic to this day. So Blindside being a late-round pick, I'm happy with that. So
all right, I'm going with one more honorable mention for all you college kids out there. You guys are drinking on the couch. You guys are looking for a funny movie to watch. Put on Slapshot.
Yep.
And enjoy yourselves for the next couple hours. Just the pure old-school raunchy comedy that Slapshot is, with Paul Newman, who is just one of the best actors.
That guy's a pimp.
He is such a stallion in that movie. And some of the things you're going to see in that movie, I mean, you're going to be laughing your ass off. And some of the shit that comes out of these guys' mouth, obviously you got the Hanson brothers just going around gooning each other up. I mean, right in the beginning of the movie, the guy comes out and says, I'm shit-faced playing. If somebody hits me, I'm going to piss all over myself.
Ogie Oglethorpe?
Yeah.
So many classic characters.
Swanton Screaming Buffalo?
Absolutely.
I mean,
it's phenomenal.
The Hook McCracken. I mean, it's such an old... If you guys are looking to have a couple beers with the boys and just put on a movie put it on a movie's sake,
you don't have to sit there and just be dialed in and follow the story. You just want a good laugh.
Yeah.
Slapshot's great. And it's led way to so many good NHL... ESHL names.
Yeah.
So
Reg.
Yep, absolutely classics. And back to Paul Newman. if you want to check out, and this is a sports and entertainment podcast, don't you forget it. There's a documentary on Paul Newman's memoir called The Last Movie Stars, where they're going to read the memoir that Paul Newman wrote before he died. It's about him and his wife, Joanne Woodward, and George Clooney is narrating the character of Paul Newman because it's a memoir. He kind of like talks in kind of like, it's kind of like a play. So George Clooney will be playing that. That comes out. It's called The Last Movie Stars. It's on HBO Max. If you don't have HBO Max, you're fucking missing out. It's the best one. It premieres tomorrow.
You're kidding me.
It is. So it premieres tomorrow on HBO Max. It's gonna be great if you're a fan of Paul Newman, Joanne Woodward. Has a great cast. You definitely can't miss it. So I just had to make that, and then I'll make my last pick, which is what do we got left on the board? I'll take Caddyshack as the last pick. Yeah, Caddyshack.
That's another one. You're drinking with the boys. You need a movie to put on. Caddyshack.
It's an absolute classic. It's a little bit older, but it still stands.
But still a lot of good old school actors that a lot of people don't know about. Chevy Chase, Bill Murray.
Got to start there, yeah.
Ted Knight, Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, those four guys are absolutely... I'm rolling on the floor laughing the first time I
if I kill all the Gophers, they'll lock me up and throw away the key. I mean, it's just, it's great.
Hey, Wang, don't tell him you're Jewish.
It's... would you get a free bowl of soup if you buy this hat?
Yeah.
Oh, looks good on you, though. Yeah, so just, I mean, the fact that we can go through all these movies and just quote all these characters and all these lines just shows why they're all instant classics. Those are ours.
It's a mix between California Century and Kentucky Bluegrass. The thing about this stuff is you play 36 holes on it and get stoned to the bejesus. Get down, waterfall.
All right. That'll wrap it up with our snake draft. We both have 6. If you want to see the final results and kind of critique it or bet on who has the better lineup, it'll be on our Instagram, Fairweather Fans Podcast. Can't miss it. Red logo. You'll see it. So we'll be posting that with a little graphic, but that will wrap up episode 31 of the Fairweather Fans Podcast. Thank you so much for listening if you got all the way here. And we'll see you next week for episode 32. Peace.
Taylor Hall's Boston Bruin.
Daddy Heels.